Hey everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome back to my living room in beautiful Barcelona, Spain. Today we're going to talk about food in these videos. The meals that one might have in a day and how we talk about these meals in Spanish. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a long list of etceteras because the culture is a bit different. We'll talk about some food culture as well. First off, I apologize for the highly variable quality of these videos. I'm trying to figure out how to do this without moving all of the furniture in my house around and setting up some professional lighting thing over here, because that's a pain in the ass. And who wants to do that? So you're going to notice that I'm using maybe a different camera, lighting scheme, etc. for these videos, and the quality is going to vary considerably. We'll see. In any case, you will definitely learn about how to talk about having breakfast, having lunch, and having dinner in Spanish, as well as, snacks and things like that. So, let's go. First thing, in English, we say have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner, have a snack. In Spanish, they tend to use just the verbs desayunar, comer, cenar, etc. etc. So there's a longer list of those verbs, but, in English, since we say have lunch, I would be trying to teach this to Spanish people, and they would usually forget the have part because it just doesn't appear in Spanish. So first, let's just start with breakfast, and we'll go through how we do the grammar of this and also the vocabulary and some culture along the way. So, breakfast is el desayuno, but the verb that is very common to use is desayunar. Interestingly, it means exactly the same thing as in English. In English, you break your fast because you've been fasting overnight, presumably. You're not waking up at 2 a.m. to, have cookies and milk. So yeah, you're breaking a fast. In Spanish, a fast, in the sense of not eating, is ayuno. So desayuno, desayunar, you're breaking your fast. You're stopping the fast. So like I said, the verb desayunar, I would say, for example, if I was talking about this, desayuné unas galletas y un café con leche. I had some cookies and a cafe latte for breakfast. It's really hard to teach Spanish people to say, I had blah, blah, blah for breakfast, because what they want to say is, I breakfast, blah, blah, blah. They want to use the verb, like they would in Spanish. So in English, we might have the opposite problem where we're trying to say, tener el desayuno or something, which we don't. Not a thing in Spanish. So, desayuné unas galletas y un café con leche. The cultural note here is that breakfast in Spain is usually pretty small. So a lot of people might have a segundo desayuno. They might not call it segundo desayuno, but they might go down and have a similar coffee and cookies type thing in the middle of the morning. In some regions of Spain, you actually call this el almuerzo. This is going to be regionally complicated because when I was learning Spanish back in Arizona, we learned that almuerzo was lunch. I apologize for the helicopter. There's probably some giant strike going on outside, and the helicopter could be there for a while. The YouTube show must go on in any case. So, back in Arizona, I learned that almuerzo is lunch, but here in Spain, it's not even a common thing all over Spain. I've been to Valencia, and in Valencia, a lot of bars have a menu for almuerzo, which is like a mid-morning snack. Mid-morning, though, in Spain, is a completely different thing than it is in the US. Mid-morning is like 12, which we would consider the afternoon already in the US, but here that's mid-morning. So it might be at your lunchtime, but here it's a mid-morning snack. Long cultural note. You'll figure it out if you're here. Don't worry. So, almorcé. What do I have? Almorcé en el bar de al lado. I had a mid-morning snack in the bar next door. Almorcé en el bar de al lado. In Spain, you might be working in an office and you have el bar de al lado where everybody goes. So everybody just calls it el bar de al lado or something. It's the bar next door. So yeah, that is almorzar. I'm conjugating these verbs, by the way. Desayuné, almorcé. This is past simple. I'll get into some grammar some other day. But yeah, so that's almuerzo. And like I said, in Valencia, I've seen it as a typical thing at mid-morning. In Madrid, in Barcelona, if you do this, you might not call it anything. You just, you leave the office and you go have a second breakfast at mid-morning. So then you have la comida. La comida is a bit ambiguous because la comida could just be food in general. Me gusta mucho la comida china. I like Chinese food a lot. However, la comida de mediodía, specifically, la comida de mediodía is lunch. So if somebody says la comida, they could be talking about food in general. They could be talking about lunch. You have to try to get the context from them. Okay, so comí el menú de can ramonet, escalivada y merluza. For example, this is Can Ramonet is a restaurant here in Barcelona. I like it. They have a good menu del dia for about 16 euros. I think you can go and you have a first plate, a second plate, a dessert, possibly a glass of wine included. If not, you can get it aparte. So, yeah, comí el menú de Can Ramonet, escalivada y merluza. So since we're doing cultural stuff, here in Catalonia, a lot of stuff is can something. I believe can is like chateau in French. You know how you just use chateau with somebody's name and it means like the house of that person. So in Catalonia, this is exactly what they do. They use can ramonet. Ramonet actually, I used to go to a wine shop where his grandson, the grandson of Ramonet, is the guy. It's right around the corner from the restaurant, and it's a whole family thing where they've got two restaurants, they've got the wine shop, etc. So Can Ramonet because the founder was Ramonet back in the day. But you can see this everywhere. Can Giuseppe or something would be it's usually a restaurant, but it could also be a house. If you're in a small town, some of the houses have like a name on the front of the house and it's like Can Giuseppe or whatever. So, more culture. Escalivada is kind of a salad. Well, it's not a salad. It's maybe roast peppers and eggplant with a vinaigrette, which is, put in a sort of cylinder on your plate. It's pretty good. Not exactly a salad, but it's vegetables and, if you like vegetables. Merluza is hake. It's just kind of a white fish. It's very common on, your menu del dia because it's not terribly expensive. If you're paying 16 euros for the menu, they're not going to give you the most expensive fish on the planet. But it's pretty good. So, hake and escalivada. All right, so that is comí el menú del día en Can Ramonet. Comí el pasado de comer. Comí, the past of comer. And in this case, we understand that we are talking about lunch at midday. So after that, we have merendar. Merendar is to have a mid-afternoon snack. La merienda. La merienda, I guess one of the typical things for la merienda, I never do this, but churros con chocolate. If for some reason you've had a big lunch at 2 p.m., which is, between 2 and 3 is when lunchtime happens here. Maybe you've had your big lunch at 2 or 3, and then at 6 for some reason you're hungry again. So you can have churros con chocolate. It's common for kids. Kids need to eat more often. So, la merienda. The sentence I have is, ya te preparé la merienda. I already made your afternoon snack. churros con chocolate. You know, churros are fairly common in the US, I think, but they're different than the ones here. The ones here are not actually sugary. They give them to you with some thick hot chocolate, and you kind of dunk the churro in the thick hot chocolate, and that's where the sweetness comes from. You can have them for breakfast also if you want. So, ya te preparé la merienda. Churros con chocolate. That's some vocabulary and some culture there. After that, we have cenar. Cenar is la cena, which is dinner. Cenar is the verb. Generally in Spain, your dinner could be at, 9 or 10. I have difficulty, waiting that long before I eat dinner, but your dinner is generally also something smaller than your lunch. Lunch is the big meal, and then dinner is something light, one plate, plato único. It's one dish rather than having a first and a second and a dessert. You maybe just have one thing and then you have some yogurt or something like that. So that is la cena. The sentence I have, cené ensalada con atún. I had salad with tuna for dinner. Cené ensalada con atún. So that's la comida, la merienda, la cena, el desayuno, el almuerzo. Those are the main meals plus, secondary meals of the day. After that, we could talk about some other things. We could talk about tomar algo. Tomar algo just means let's go have a drink. The drink doesn't have to be alcoholic. Back when I was young and in Madrid, I discovered that there's this sentence that people use. It's like, a ver si vamos a tomar algo un día de estos. And a ver si vamos a tomar algo un día de estos means, maybe we should have a drink someday. And the fun thing about this expression is you can say it, if I met a cute girl who I wanted to go on a date with, I could say this. It doesn't sound like exactly a date, but it's, we should have a drink someday. What do you think? But you could also run into somebody who you completely hated, and in order to end the conversation, you just say like, well, a ver si tomamos algo un día de estos. And then you just kind of walk away. And, neither of you needs to follow up on that. It's just kind of a thing you say. Well, I'll see you again sometime, here and there. And so it's a nice ambiguous sentence that you can use. So that is tomar algo. Tomar algo, just have a drink. This could be, any time of day, I guess. You have tapear. You've probably heard of tapas, just small plates of whatever. The verb for that is tapear. Or I guess you could say ir de tapas, possibly. And you can go to multiple bars. You can have things in multiple bars. You can have multiple tapas in multiple bars. It's tapear. You also have ir de Pinchos. A couple of weeks ago, I was with my girlfriend up in the Basque country. We just took a day trip to Bilbao, and we had Pinchos. Nos fuimos de Pinchos en el casco viejo de Bilbao. We had Pinchos in the historic center of Bilbao. Nice experience. You should definitely do it if you're out there. Pinchos, there's two spellings for Pinchos. There's the Spanish spelling and the Basque spelling. I'll put them both on screen here. The Basque spelling has the TX in it. So that's the official Basque way of saying it. But yeah, pinchos are just usually a piece of bread with something on top of it, like a piece of baguette that's not too big, with something on top of it. And yeah, we had a bunch of these in Basque country. A pincho could also be something approximately like a tapa, but with a toothpick stuck in it. And back in the day, you would just go to the bar, you would pick them up yourself, you would count your number of toothpicks and pay based on the number of toothpicks. Some bars were still doing this like 10 years ago, but it's also fairly easy to, drop a couple of these toothpicks on the floor and pay less. And I suppose that in a modern capitalist economy, having your restaurant running on the honor system is not an exciting way to increase shareholder value, for example. So yeah, anyway, ir de pinchos, ir de pinchos. I don't think there's a specific verb. The verb pinchar is to stick a toothpick or needle or something in something else. So it refers to the toothpick, I guess, more than anything. You could also ir de caña, so ir de vinos, which is, go out for cañas, or just small beers. I have another video about beer and wine and how to order beer and wine in Spain with my friend Laura down in Gran Canaria. But yeah, ir de cañas, you just go out and you have some beers. You could say ir de vinos, you go out and have some wine. You can use all of these, and if the other person wants to have like a Nestea or something, there's no problem. It's just kind of an expression. Finally, today, I mentioned in my last video, es la hora del Vermouth. And then I literally went and had Vermouth, but I was thinking, Vermouth, but I was thinking about a friend of mine who she says, quedamos para el Vermouth a la 1:30. And all this means is that we're meeting somewhere that is not the restaurant where we're having lunch. I've never seen her drinking vermouth. It's just kind of at, before lunch. It's the aperitivo, the aperitif, possibly. You just say, quedamos para el vermouth. And this means, maybe we have a beer or something. The vermouth is not actually necessary. It's the time of day she's referring to. It's before lunch, and afterwards you go to the restaurant for lunch. So that's a lot of vocabulary and cultural notes today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Special shout out to Isidro out in San Francisco, California, I believe. Isidro sponsored my last video. There's a link down here where you can sponsor this video, or just generally sponsor the project. I do this for free. It takes some time, and we will see how I make it eventually into a profitable thing. I do enjoy teaching Spanish a lot. I've been teaching English for so long to Spanish speaking people that now doing it in reverse is an interesting mental exercise. So shout out to Isidro. Thank you very much, Isidro, for the sponsorship. And your opportunity is right down here, or I'll make another link. I'll put it on screen where you can donate to the cause. Any amount is okay. You could, buy me one vermouth for $2. You could buy me 100 vermouths for $200. Any amount works for me. I hope you're having a great day out there, wherever you are in the world. From beautiful Barcelona, hasta la próxima. Bye.